Listen, I need to be real with you about something. What you're hearing right now, what everyone's been whispering about for weeks, this isn't just another off-season storyline. This is the kind of moment that rewires an entire franchise. And if you're a Browns fan, if you've been bleeding orange and brown through all the pain, all the false promises, all the quarterbacks who were supposed to save us, then you need to understand what's actually happening in Cleveland right now. Because this Shedeur Sanders situation, it's not what you think it is. It's bigger than that. Way bigger. Two sources inside that building told Tony Rizzo the same thing. Shedeur Sanders is starting the last 4 games of this season. Not maybe, not if things go wrong, starting. And when those words hit the airwaves, when that information leaked out into the world, everything changed. The fans erupted, social media exploded, and suddenly every single decision Kevin Stefanski makes, every word Jimmy Haslam says, every practice rep, every sideline glance, it all means something different now. But here's what nobody's talking about. Here's the part that should terrify you or excite you, depending on which side of this you're on. This whole thing was orchestrated, planned, calculated down to the last detail, and the man pulling the strings isn't wearing a headset on Sunday. He's sitting in an owner's box, watching his grandkids walk around in custom Shedeur Sanders jerseys while cameras capture every single moment. You think that was an accident? You think those kids just randomly decided to wear those jerseys? Come on, Jimmy Haslam is a billionaire businessman who didn't get where he is by leaving things to chance. Every move here has been strategic. Every leak, every rumor, every perfectly timed piece of information dropped to the right reporter at exactly the right moment. This is a masterclass in franchise manipulation, and whether you love it or hate it, you have to respect the audacity of it. Because what Haslam understands, what he's banking everything on, is that the modern NFL isn't just about winning games anymore. It's about capturing attention. It's about owning the conversation. It's about making your franchise the one everyone's talking about on Monday morning, the one trending on Twitter, the one dominating ESPN's coverage from coast to coast. And Shedeur Sanders, with his famous father, his championship pedigree, his swagger, his social media following, he's the perfect vehicle for that transformation. Think about the business side of this for a second. The moment Shedeur's name started trending, what happened? Jersey sales spiked, ticket prices jumped, national media coverage of the Browns tripled overnight. Sponsors started making calls. The franchise that's been stuck in mediocrity for decades suddenly became must-see television, and they haven't even played the kid yet. That's the genius of it. That's what Haslam saw that nobody else did. You don't need Shedeur to be great right away. You just need him to be compelling. You need him to be the story that everyone wants to follow. And with Deion Sanders as his father, with that primetime DNA running through his veins, with the cameras following his every move, the kid is ratings gold before he ever throws a pass. But let's talk about Kevin Stefanski for a minute, because this is where the story gets really uncomfortable. Here's a coach who's won awards, who's built a reputation on being methodical, careful, process-driven, the kind of guy who doesn't make rash decisions, who sticks to the plan even when the fans are screaming for change. And for a long time, that approach worked. It got him respect. It got him credibility. But now that same approach is choking him, because every day he doesn't play Shedeur Sanders is another day the pressure builds. Another day, the fans get louder. Another day, the media questions his judgment. Another day, ownership loses patience. And the worst part, the part that's probably keeping him up at night, is that he knows once Shedeur plays, everything changes. If Shedeur struggles, Stefanski can survive that. He can spin it as a learning experience, say the kid needs more development, stick to his guns about the process. But if Shedeur succeeds, if he comes in and lights up defenses, if he shows that spark, that confidence, that ability to make plays that get crowds on their feet, then Stefanski becomes irrelevant overnight. His system doesn't matter anymore. His careful game plans get thrown out. The whole identity of the team shifts from his methodical approach to something younger, flashier, more exciting. That's the fear driving every decision he makes right now. Not fear that Shedeur will fail. Fear that he'll succeed. And you can see it in his press conferences. Watch the way his jaw tightens when reporters ask about the quarterback situation. Listen to how he pauses just a fraction too long before giving those carefully crafted non-answers. Notice how he talks about development and timing and process, using all the right coaching words while avoiding the actual question everyone wants answered. When is Shedeur playing? The locker room feels it too. Players aren't stupid. They can read the room. They see ownership pushing one direction while their coach resists. They hear the fans chanting for the rookie during games. They watch the media circus growing bigger every single week. And some of them, the ones who've been through enough losing seasons, who've seen enough false starts, they're starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, the change everyone's demanding is exactly what this team needs. That's when you know the dam is about to break. When the players themselves start questioning the plan. When veterans who normally back their coach start liking tweets about giving Shedeur a chance. When the whole organization feels like it's being pulled in two different directions and something's gotta give. Now let's bring Deion Sanders into this equation, because you can't tell this story without understanding what Coach Prime brings to the table. This is a man who's been at the center of attention his entire life, who understands media, understands hype, understands how to turn a moment into a movement. And when it comes to his son, when it comes to Shedeur's career, he's not playing around. Deion's been preparing Shedeur for this moment for years, teaching him how to handle pressure, how to carry himself with confidence, how to block out noise and focus on what matters. You watch Shedeur on the sideline, standing there calm while chaos swirls around him, and you can see that primetime mentality, unbothered, unfazed, ready. But Deion's also doing something else, something more subtle but just as powerful. He's applying pressure, not loud, not obvious, but constant. Every interview where he talks about greatness, sitting on benches, every social media post that reminds everyone of Shedeur's championship pedigree. Every time he speaks about his son's readiness, he's sending a message to Cleveland's front office. The message is simple: stop wasting time, stop being scared, let the kid play. And that pressure, combined with everything else, the fan demands, the ownership push, the media frenzy, it's created this perfect storm that Stefanski can't weather much longer. Because at a certain point, fighting against all of that isn't brave or principled, it's just stubborn, and stubborn coaches don't last long in the NFL. Here's where the timeline gets really interesting. Those last 4 games of the season: Chicago, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati. Look at that schedule closely and you'll see why it's perfect for what Haslam wants to do. By December, the Browns' playoff hopes will likely be fading. The pressure to win every game will be off, which means it's the ideal time to give a rookie quarterback meaningful reps without the crushing weight of playoff implications. But it's also late enough in the season that those games still matter. They're against division rivals and competitive teams. They'll get national attention, and if Shedeur plays well, even in losses, he becomes the story of the offseason, the bright spot in an otherwise disappointing year, the reason for hope going into next season. That's not coincidence. That's planning. Someone in that front office, probably multiple people, sat down months ago and mapped this out. They looked at the schedule, calculated the odds, factored in the media cycle, and determined that December was the perfect launch window for the Shedeur Sanders era. It's cynical, it's calculated, and it's exactly how modern NFL franchises operate. But here's what makes this different from every other quarterback controversy, every other rookie debut, every other organizational power struggle. This one has captured the imagination of an entire city in a way that goes beyond football. Cleveland fans aren't just hoping Shedeur succeeds. They're convinced he represents something bigger, a fundamental shift in how their franchise operates, a break from decades of conservative, fearful decision-making, a chance to finally be the team that takes risks and reaps rewards. That's why the chants get so loud. That's why social media explodes every time his name gets mentioned. That's why talk radio can't discuss anything else. Because to Browns fans who've suffered through so much disappointment, Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback. He's possibility. He's hope. He's the unknown that might actually work out for once. And when you combine that fan desperation with ownership's business interests, with a legendary father's influence, with a coach losing control, with a rookie who seems genuinely ready, you get this volatile mixture that was always going to explode eventually. The only question was when. Now we have an answer. December, 4 games. The stage is being set right now, this very moment, for something that's going to dominate NFL coverage for weeks. The practice field rotations are changing. The meeting room dynamics are shifting. The front office is preparing statements for every possible outcome. Jersey manufacturers are ramping up production. Camera crews are planning special coverage packages. Everything is moving toward that one moment when Shedeur Sanders finally jogs onto the field as the Cleveland Browns starting quarterback. Think about what that moment moment will feel like. The crowd noise will be deafening, a mix of excitement and relief and desperation, all rolled into one thunderous roar. The cameras will zoom in tight on his face, looking for any sign of nervousness, any crack in that confident exterior. Announcers will remind everyone about Deion's legacy, about Colorado's success, about all the pressure and expectations. And Shedeur will stand there in the huddle, looking at 10 other men waiting for him to lead them, and he'll have to block out everything except the play call, the noise, the history, the politics, the money, the hype. All of it has to disappear in that moment. It's just football, just execution, just the game he's been playing since he was a kid. That's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. The ability to find that calm in the storm. And based on everything we've seen from Shedeur, based on how he carries himself, based on that prime DNA running through him, he's got that ability. But let's be honest about something else. This is also terrifying, because what if it doesn't work? What if Shedeur struggles? What if the pressure is too much, the defense is too complex, the speed too fast? What if all this hype and expectation and orchestrated drama leads to 4 games of disappointment? That's the risk everyone's taking here. Haslam risks looking foolish for pushing this agenda. Stefanski risks looking incompetent for resisting it. The fans risk another heartbreak in a long line of heartbreaks. And Shedeur risks becoming just another overhyped prospect who couldn't deliver when it mattered. But that's also what makes this compelling. That's why everyone's watching. Because the stakes are real, the consequences matter, and nobody, absolutely nobody knows how this story ends. What we do know is that the machinery is already in motion. The plan is set, the timeline is locked, and barring some massive unforeseen circumstance, Shedeur Sanders is going to start those final 4 games of the Cleveland Browns season. When it happens, when he finally gets that chance, every decision will be analyzed, every throw dissected, every win or loss turned into a referendum on his future and the franchise's direction. The media will be relentless. The fans will be impossible to please. The pressure will be unlike anything most rookies ever face in their debut. But that's exactly what Deion has prepared him for. That's exactly the kind of moment that separates the scared from the confident. And if there's one thing we know about Shedeur Sanders, it's that he doesn't scare easily. So here we are, standing on the edge of something that feels massive, watching all the pieces move into position, waiting for that first snap that changes everything. Cleveland's holding its breath, the NFL is paying attention, and one rookie quarterback is about to find out if all that confidence, all that preparation, all that primetime DNA translates to success at the highest level. The storm is here. The moment is coming, and nothing in Cleveland will ever be the same again. This isn't just about whether Shedeur Sanders can play quarterback in the NFL. It's about whether an entire franchise can finally break free from decades of losing, from conservative thinking, from being scared of their own ambition. It's about whether Jimmy Haslam's gamble pays off, whether Kevin Stefanski can survive it, whether Deion's influence extends beyond college football, whether the fans who've been screaming for change actually get what they want. Most of all, it's about whether that kid wearing number 12, standing on the sideline with that quiet confidence, can actually deliver when the whole world is watching. We're about to find out. December is coming. The games are scheduled, the plan is in motion, and the Cleveland Browns are about to unleash something they can't take back. This is happening. Ready or not, the Shedeur Sanders era is almost here. And when it begins, when he finally takes that field, this whole city is going to erupt with a combination of hope and fear and desperation that only Cleveland fans can truly understand. Because they've been waiting for this moment in one form or another for as long as anyone can remember. Waiting for that franchise-changing quarterback. That generational talent. That player who can finally give them what they've been chasing for decades. Maybe Shedeur Sanders is that guy. Maybe he's exactly what everyone hopes he is. Or maybe this is just another chapter in Cleveland's long history of almosts and what-ifs and disappointments. But one thing's for certain, we're all about to find out together. The countdown has started, the stage is set, and the most anticipated debut in recent Browns history is just weeks away. Get ready, because ready or not, this storm is about to break, and when it does, nothing will ever be the same.